What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Universal Mastery, welcome back to my channel. What I do here is I break down the occult sciences and I break them down to a very practical level so that you can use them and apply them in your day-to-day life and get real, actual results with it. Okay, hopefully your life is changing while you're watching my channel, which tends to happen a lot of the times because the stuff I'm speaking on is a lot of the stuff is very advanced and a lot of the stuff has not been talked about before, or at least opened, at least to the open public, okay? So just to give you an understanding of who you're getting this information from, my name is Jeremiah Schwartz. I'm fully initiated in Kabbalah, being the Sephiroth, the Qliphoth, and the tunnels of Set. I'm studied when it comes to tarot, and I'm also studied when it comes to astrology and planetary energies. Once again, this is just to give you some clarity on who you're getting this information from, just to let you know that you're not getting it from somebody who's just read a bunch of books and is now regurgitating knowledge that I've read. But before that, I am a practitioner. I am a warrior who sees, okay? Before I was a seer, I was a warrior. So I've always been someone who's taken risks. I've gotten my hands and feet wet many times. I've made many mistakes. I've been up and I've been down. And now at the place where I'm at, obviously my YouTube channel is starting to get bigger because the stuff that I'm talking about is very real. And once again, it's stuff that I've personally experienced. So it's really changing people's lives. Now, what we're going to be talking about in today's video is going to be around the subject of why love and light is not going to be the pathway to achieving source. I'm really going to break this down. Now, first thing I just want to make clear before we go into the video is I want to say that I am not undermining love and light. I'm not saying that these aren't powerful energies or that these aren't powerful attributes to have as a person. I'm not telling you to not love or to not understand what light is and use it, but I am going to explain the science behind why love and light, the way you think it works, is not the pathway to achieving ultimate power by achieving source. Okay, I'm going to explain it in this video, and I am also going to give some tools that you can apply in your day-to-day life, practical tools that are extremely simple but also have a very profound effect on your being. I'm going to share these in this video. So if you want to know what I'm talking about, then stay tuned for the rest of this video. Okay, so let's jump right into it. So first thing that I want to do is I'm going to change the battery on my camera. Okay, so now that that's changed, let's go into this. This is definitely going to be a video that requires a lot of understanding. This is going to require me to really explain this in a understandable way so that you can fully process what I'm saying. But I do want to start with a context to put you in. I want you to understand that what I'm saying has a very deep underlying science to it. And I'm not saying this based off an emotional standpoint that I have in regards to my own personal spiritual beliefs. This has nothing to do with that. In its totality, this is a science that I am talking about. Once again, I'm not here to convince anybody. If you don't want to believe what I'm saying, then please switch off. I understand this information is not for everybody, and to me, quite frankly, I don't care at all. But for those of you that are listening and for those of you that want to understand what I'm talking about, just keep in mind that this is a science. There is an actual valid science to what I'm speaking about and why this is the pathway to source and why love and light, the way that most people approach love and light, does not work in regards to achieving power through source or achieving source. Okay, so let's go into it. So why doesn't love and light work for achieving source the way that most people use it? So the first thing that we want to understand is we want to understand where are most people coming from in regards to love and light workers. right-hand pathers. Where are they coming from? Okay, because one thing I do want to make sure is clear, love is extremely powerful. It is one of the, literally, you could argue it's the most powerful energy there is, okay? But it requires, because of the power that is within the energetic, you could say, current of love, there requires a lot of understanding that has to go into knowing how to best use love, which is responsibility, okay? You need to be responsible with love. Yoda said it first, with great power comes great responsibility, right? So there's a lot of responsibility that comes with love, the energy of love, and you have to know how to use it properly. So when it comes, and lights, okay, excuse me, let me take a step back, and lights, okay, lights you could think of as source. Source is light, okay? That's powerful, that's important to understand. Source is the energy that exists outside of the 5-dimensional planes that are consisted within Earth, this physical plane. We have if we're going to be talking about elements, we have earth, fire, water, and air, and then there's spirit. So all of these different things that I mentioned are different energetic planes. You could think of different energetic timelines that literally exist here on Earth. Now, to step out of those, which I've mentioned in a recent video, to step out of those is where source exists. So source you could think of as this energetic current that has created and is a part of everything. It has created all of these different timelines. It's created all these different energies, and source has created all of this to literally interact with itself, okay? So source is where the ultimate power is. And if you think about source, it's not concerned about chaos. All it's concerned about is evolution, moving forward, growth, healing. But that doesn't mean that source doesn't create chaos here on Earth within this 5-dimensional matrix that we live in, because there is a science behind what chaos can offer, okay? And part of that science has to do with taking chaos and sourcing chaos, causing chaos to suffer, okay? I'll go into that later in this video. Now that we understand what exactly source is, that's what's important, okay? So taking it back to where I was just leading this video is that when it comes to the mass collective that is involved with this love, light, right-hand path, save the world mentality, there's a reason why that doesn't work. And there's a reason why none of them will achieve source. And if they do everything right and do achieve source, hypothetically, which almost never happens, they will end up being sacrificed energetically, which could even be physically. And I'll explain that as well. But the reason why love and light, the way that most people understand it, doesn't work, meaning saving the world, saving the people on the world, coming from that intention. I'm going to save you. I'm going to save the world. I'm going to make sure that you're saved. I'm going to make sure that you're healthy, and I'm sending positive energy your way to empower you. The reason why that doesn't work is because there's an underlying mechanism behind what people think is really going on. So that underlying mechanism has to do with something that is known as the Kali Yuga. And if you understand the Kali Yuga, this is from Hindi traditions, basically what that means is there is a evolutionary cycle called the Yuga Cycle, and within this evolutionary cycle there is something that is known as the Dark Age, Then from the Dark Age, you have the Bronze Age. Then from the Bronze Age, you have the Silver Age. And then from the Silver Age, you have the Gold Age. Now, obviously, I think if you have a head on your shoulders, you would understand which age is the best age to be living in from a source perspective, from an evolutionary perspective. Okay, it would be the Golden Age, right? So with these different ages, right now where we find ourselves in our current society is we are in the Bronze Age. Okay, we are in the Bronze Age, meaning there have been dark times for the past 500 years, roughly. Okay, for the past 500 years, you could even say up to 800 years ago. There's been a lot of death, there's been a lot of destruction, there's been a lot of chaos up until the current time that we're in. We are in the Bronze Age. This is still part of the darker side of the age. It's right around the Silver Age when things start to move closer to source. And then when you're in the Gold Age, that's when most people have a connection with source, okay? So we're in the Bronze Age as we speak. And we're actually close to moving into the Silver Age. I personally believe we have around 65 to 80 years left until we hit the Silver Age, the very beginning of it. But that's a whole nother story. But long story short, when you understand this Yuga cycle, you would understand that when you're in the darker ages, being the Dark Age and the Bronze Age, the darker half, the world, if you study the Yuga cycle, it's called the Kali Yuga, the world, and if you study it, you'll literally see what's going on right now in our current society and in the United States of America and around the world, quite frankly. You will see that the totality of the current matrix, the current five-dimensional matrix here on Earth, is chaotic, meaning the matrix itself was created from chaotic beings, okay? So what I'm saying is that the mass collective right now, the current five-dimensional matrix that we are all living in is, in its totality, all chaos. It's evil, okay? And this is just a fact. If you don't believe me, then you're obviously not seeing what's going on around you. There is chaos everywhere, okay? Now, it's nothing to be afraid of. It's nothing to be like, oh my God, we're screwed. No, because once again, we're moving into the Golden Age. That's the pathway. But what you do want to understand is how to navigate within the Kali Yuga. And there is a specific way to do that in its proper form to gain Source's power. And it's a science. This is all a science behind what I'm saying. So, with that being said, the reason why love and light is not working, especially from the intention of trying to save humanity or save the world, is because when you're loving and you're giving your light to save the current world, all you're doing is feeding chaos because you're giving your source energy, your love, your light to the current five-dimensional matrix that is currently chaos. So you're literally feeding and pumping your source energy into the chaotic matrix that is already existing right now, giving away your own personal source connection to feed the chaotic matrix. This is why you see no light workers. This is why you see no love and light people. This is why you see no tree huggers that have real power. This is why you will see them when people start to go down this road, their lives start to go downhill very quickly, sometimes slowly, but very, very surely. You will see they start losing hair, their hair starts turning gray, they start getting a little more parasitic, meaning they get a little more on edge about things, they're a little more, they're just more chaotic. They end up in a much more chaotic state where they can't really silence their mind, and it just becomes chaos for them in their own personal reality. It's because they're using their source connection to feed the chaotic matrix that they're living in. And when they're trying to save humanity, what they're not realizing is that humanity currently is if you study my channel, you know about this. definitely check out the chakra system parasite video that I have. This will explain a little more of this, but humanity in its current state is mostly possessed. When I say this, the mass collective is mostly being possessed by chaotic entities. As I've mentioned, there is a literal chaotic energy. It's a brown energy field, and if you can remote view, you can see what it looks like, and it looks like a larvae, very similar to what you would see from the alien films, where there's that alien that attaches to their face, except it actually exists on the top of your head. That movie wasn't made for no reason, just so you understand this. And it exists on most people's heads to completely take over their awareness. Channeling the sexual energy, going straight up the spine, going right into the top of the head where the brain is, where the main focal point for your receptivity to source should come down, but now you have this parasite that's completely intercepting that source connection. So most people are infected by this parasite. Most people, like literally, when you go outside of your house right now, there's a high chance that you listening to this right now are infected by this parasite to a certain degree. The only way to really get rid of it permanently is going through some pretty high level initiation, okay? Unless you know an occultist that can kind of do that for you, which doesn't happen often because why would someone like me or anyone like me, take a lot of our time out of our life to remove your parasite? We're definitely not going to do it for free. It's going to cost a lot of money because it takes time to do that. It takes a lot of time and essentially energy to sit down and make sure you remove that. So, the reality is most people are being infested by chaotic energy. So when you're trying to save the people around you, you're not understanding, and you're trying to give them your love and your light, you're actually not understanding that they are being run by chaotic energies, and you're not talking to the human being. You're not talking to the source in them. You are now talking to a chaotic entity that is inhabiting their body. So you're giving your love and your light away, thinking that you're helping this person evolve, but really, that love and light that you're giving away is just completely missing the person because they're being run by chaos. So they don't care. The chaotic energy that runs their awareness does not want your love and light. So you will be this is what happens. You'll be giving your love and light to somebody, and the parasite will trick you into thinking that, that you're helping them evolve. Oh, thank you. You're helping me. You're helping me. Helping me. But in reality, the chaotic entity that's running them is draining you of your source energy, meaning it's making you think you're helping them, but they're actually not receiving or understanding anything of what you're saying. So all you end up doing is wasting your time, and if you're not smart enough or if you're not aware enough, you won't even notice that that person's not receiving what you're saying. Because the parasite's smart. The parasite will make you think that you're actually helping the person, and then you'll notice that their actions completely show otherwise. So they'll be like, yes, I hear what you're saying, you're helping me evolve, blah, 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 blah. That's the parasite speaking. And then the second you leave and you start to look at that person and see if they've applied your advice, you'll see that they're actually becoming more chaotic. How many times have you had experiences where you try to be a love and light worker, and you tried to save your friends or save somebody that you cared about, and you gave them so much of your energy to try and help them understand that this is what's better for them, and then you leave them and they actually end up going farther downhill. They literally become more chaotic. It's because the parasite on their head did that to them. And when you are talking to them, I can guarantee that the person you were talking to was probably acting like they were receiving what you were telling them, saying, yes, I get it. Oh my gosh, I should do that. This is the best thing for me. I hear you now. Thank you for telling me. And then when you separate from that person, the parasite says, okay, well, now we're really going to lower you down. And it completely takes them lower than they were before, and the reason why is because the parasite tricked you into draining your source energy away, and the parasite on the person misdirected it, acting like they're receiving it, but really not at all, completely shutting off their connection. So now what happened is that you trying to save that person, giving them your love and your light, your good intention, you completely just drained yourself of your source energy, completely was misdirected, and now that parasite can further inhabit the person that you're trying to help, because now you, having somewhat of an energetic connection with that person, just lost your source connection, more of your source connection, lowering both of you down, because you just drained yourself trying to help the person with love and light, and that source that you had just naturally a part of your energy field just lessened, and now the person is going to go lower down. They're going to make even more chaotic choices, because the only thing that was keeping them from going even lower was that energetic source connection that you already had a part of your energy field that you just drained even more, because you just tried to save a parasite. You just tried to give your love and light to a chaotic entity. And it doesn't want that, and it's not going to accept that. It's not going to receive that. So it's going to misdirect it, lowering your state, which is naturally going to lower the person you were trying to help, because now there's two people that are just more in chaos. There's two people now that have been dropped lower into chaos. And that eventually leads the love and light person to being completely ran by their own parasite, because they're constantly walking around trying to give this love and this light to the world around them, not realizing the 5-dimensional matrix around them, the world around them, is built from chaos. They're not realizing this, so they're feeding chaos. What they're actually doing is they're doing the opposite of trying to help source evolution. They're actually causing more harm than what they're trying to do. So even though their intention is, I want to help mankind, I want to make the world a better place, they're actually making it worse, and they're making it more chaotic, because they're bleeding their own source energy to feed chaos. And chaos uses source energy. These parasites will misdirect it, and they'll shell it. They'll trick you, and it's all happening because it's tricking you, because you think you're helping. You think this person's gonna change. You think. But really, it's not doing anything. And if you're smart and if you're wise, you would have noticed that if you've ever been into any form of light working or any form of trying to save the world or humanity. You will always realize it ends up frying you. Okay, it fries you. And then you get lowered yourself. The person who has the best intention trying to save the world and become the savior becomes the person who gets the most shelled. And this is how this matrix is structured. Because once again, you're draining all of your source connection into chaos, and it's just completely diminishing it. The source, the chaos is completely diminishing the source that you're trying to give it by tricking you, thinking that you can change it. And then it actually, by diminishing that source that you're giving it, by it tricking you, it's actually fueling the chaos, so it gets stronger. So all you love and light workers, the tree huggers, the new age right-hand pathers, the chakra workers, all of you, all you're doing is, one, strengthening the parasites that are existing, the parasite that exists on your head, and the other parasites around you on other people. One, that's all you're strengthening. And two, you're feeding the matrix that is already chaotic in nature. Okay, you're feeding the current 5-dimensional chaotic matrix. So this is why achieving source by being a love and light worker, a tree hugger, a new age chakra meditation, I'm going to save the world, I'm going to save the planet, I want everyone to be healthy and happy, never works, okay? Because the main understanding is that you're forgetting that we're living in a chaotic matrix. These people are forgetting, they don't know because they haven't dove into the darker side of themselves that would show them what the truth is. And I know we've all heard the saying, the truth hurts. And it does. When you first wake up to this idea, what I'm talking about, it hurts. When you realize the majority of people around you are infested by chaotic forces, chaotic entities running them, that's a hard pill to swallow. But guess what? The truth hurts. And this is a truth. And the highest level elites, the highest level occultists like myself, we understand this. The ancient shamans understand this. You can read about this in Carlos Castaneda. They talk about this in the active side of infinity. Mud shadows is what they called it. Mud shadows, the brown energy body. Okay? There is ancient documentation of what it has been going on. So there's a real science behind this, okay? So that brings up the question, which is, okay, if love and light isn't the pathway to source, and if love and light isn't the pathway to source, especially if we're in what's known as the Kali Yuga, where the Kali Yuga is the evolutionary age where the world is completely evil, where the world is completely chaotic, then what is the option? How do we get to source? How do I get to source, and how do I make sure that I'm evolving, and also make sure that evolution takes on its role as well in the world around me? Okay? Because remember, source is evolution. So if you're wanting to develop your connection with source, you have to understand the true parameters on how evolution is going to be brought about. Because the true people that are going to change this current matrix, that are going to cause very healthy and balanced change here on Earth, they're going to be the ones that understand the parameters and the science of truly achieving source and what that requires in this current Bronze Age Kali Yuga that we're living in. So what is it? So this is where the avatar of Kalki comes into play. So if you know about Kalki from the Hindi traditions of this entire Kali Yuga cycle, Kalki is a source avatar. So Kalki is an archetypal energy that is a spirit, a real spirit, and this archetype of Kalki can be downloaded in your energy body. Now, before I talk about how to do that and give you some practical tools on a way that you can attune yourself to this Kalki energy field, let's explain what Kalki is, okay? Kalki is a source being that descends from source outside of the multiverse, outside of the five-dimensional plane, for the sole purpose of completely and utterly eliminating, destroying, slaughtering everything evil. Okay? So Kalki is coming down from source as an actual living avatar who rides a white horse. The white horse is symbolic of source, because if you think of source, if you can actually remote view it and you can actually view it, source is light. It truly is. Source is this light field that is probably, it's so vast and it's so profound, and there's no human being right now that can fully understand it. I mean, it's unperceivable because it's so vast. But we can perceive it to a certain level, and what we can see so far is that it is a light source. It is this extremely potent light source. That's why so many people are drawn towards light. They like calling themselves light workers. They like the light, right? But the pathway to source is by attuning to darkness. And I'll explain that in a second, but let's go back to Kalki. So Kalki is this source avatar that descends to Earth on the specific time frame when everything is completely evil being the Kali Yuga, being the Dark Age and the Bronze Age. And the purpose of Kalki riding the white horse, meaning the white horse, once again, is the connection that Kalki has with Source. The white horse is Source. Okay, horse, Source. There's even it sounds familiar. Kalki being this being, this Source avatar that has a primary motive. It's the primary program of Kalki is to, once again, utterly eliminate, destroy, and slaughter with no remorse everything that is evil, everything that is chaotic, with the ability to bring chaos that it has destroyed and eliminated back to Source, to power Source, to power evolution. So Kalki is a connected being to Source that is descending down to the physical plane into the matrix, the 5-dimensional plane of Earth, and it is destroying all the parasites, it's destroying all the chaos, it's destroying everything that is not Source or does not have a connection to Source. And by destroying all of the evil, once again, what this is doing is this is providing tons of energy for Source, because Source, in order to gain energy, in order to cause more evolution in a much more rapid way, feeds off of the suffering and the torture and the slaughtering of chaos. So Kalki is a being that is destroying chaotic energies, giving it back to Source by causing their suffering, the chaos to suffer. Kalki is completely, you could think of Kalki as being completely evil, because all Kalki wants to do is destroy, eliminate, and slaughter completely. But the balanced aspect of Kalki is that it is an aspect of Source, which means it's not just killing, slaughtering, and destroying for no reason. It's only killing, destroying, and slaughtering chaos, because it understands that Source needs to bring forth its evolution. So there's a purpose behind the evil that Kalki has. So what we're seeing there in this archetype of Kalki is we are seeing something that is vampiric. We're seeing something that's destroying chaos to provide energy back to Source. And if Kalki is a being that is a descendant of Source, if Kalki is a being that is a literal Source avatar, a being that's here on Earth, but also has a link to Source spiritually, that is destroying chaos to empower Source, well, that means that the Source within Kalki is being empowered by all the evil he's slaughtering. So that means the more he's killing chaos and slaughtering and eliminating and destroying chaos, the more Kalki is gaining power. And the more power that Kalki is gaining, that comes up to what Kalki wants to do with that power. Okay? So this is the whole energetic purpose behind Kalki and what Kalki means in a Kali Yuga, which we are in right now. So to understand this Kalki avatar is very important to understand how to navigate yourself closer to Source, because remember, Source needs to evolve. Source created this entire matrix in its totality, and Source knows how to get maximum yield all the time. So to understand Source and how it works, and then create a link with it, means that you begin to understand the science and the pathway to achieving ultimate power, because now, having had a link with Source, you've become a Source avatar similar to Kalki that has been documented in ancient scripts. Kalki is ancient. This has been understood a long time ago, and this is not the first time it's been understood. So the true path to achieving source and ultimate power by achieving source is by destroying, eliminating, and slaughtering chaos. Okay? So what that means is that you have to learn the most effective way to destroy, eliminate, and slaughter chaos. And part of that understanding and that pathway to learning how to do that comes directly into play with traveling through hell and taking rulership over the dark matter energies that exist within hell. So now that we're talking about hell, we can make connections, first of all, to every single religion that you know about that has usually a heaven and a hell. Okay? Every religion talks about it. I mean, religions are ancient. Every culture, religion talks about hell. So there's something to hell, and there's something to heaven. Okay? But if we're going to be talking about Kabbalah, we can look at hell and heaven in two very simplistic ways. And Kabbalah, once again, this didn't get created by the Jews. Kabbalah is an evolutionary system that has been used by so many different cultures throughout time. It is an extremely powerful underlying mechanism behind spiritual evolution. It's just that the Jews broke it down to Kabbalah and they tried to claim ownership of this evolutionary system to rule the world. And guess what? They've been doing it for a while until the new architects came in and hacked the system, like myself. So when we look at heaven and hell in regards to Kabbalah, we have heaven being the Sephiroth, the top of the tree of life, and then we have hell being the Qliphoth, the realm of shells, which connects right back to the shell that usually contains the average person's soul fluid and spirit, preventing them from having any psychic abilities, making it much easier for them to be inhabited by the parasite that runs their awareness completely. So there's a lot of knowledge that can be gained within the Qliphoth. And to travel through hell as a source avatar who eliminates chaos, what you're doing, essentially, if we're going to be talking about a science level, if we're going to be talking about science and how this can be broken down in a scientific way, by traveling through the hell realms where dark matter energies reside, where parasites reside, where they come from, where the root system of all this parasitic chaos stems from, to travel into those realms as a Kalki, as a source avatar who eliminates chaos, what you're doing is you're downloading those dark matter energies, traveling through those different hell realms, making them a part of yourself, and then reprogramming those dark matter energies into the chaos beings that are currently running the world and currently inhabiting the mass collective consciousness. So now we have someone who has a connection to source and understands the dynamic and the science behind achieving ultimate power by connecting with source. And that person understands that they have to embrace the darker side of themselves by downloading these dark matter energies into their energy field, which has a whole science to that. And I will be covering that in future videos, and I have covered some of it in some of my previous videos. But the person who's doing this understands these things and has to travel, or eventually will travel through the different hell realms. In regards to Kabbalah, we're going to be talking about the Qliphoth and the tunnels of Set. They will travel through these hell realms, which are ruled by the Ars Goetia, which are ruled by the archdemons, and many other dark matter energy spirits that have been used by the chaotic beings that have been controlling the world for the past 600 years. So now that we're traveling through these hell realms as source avatars, beings with a connection to source, we're downloading the powers from these hell realms with the intention of reprogramming these dark matter energies, these archdemons or these Ars Goetia, into the chaos that's been using the system on the mass collective to make the world a literal living hell, to make the world, the mass collective, hellish. So we're literally hacking the system. Where does another hacker come into play that we've all heard of? Maybe the Matrix. We hear about Neo being a hacker in the Matrix. This is called hacking the system, okay? And this is all archetypal. This is all happening in the scale of source of evolution. This was bound to happen. And there's people like myself that are doing this. And now I'm explaining what the process is to a surface degree. This is not telling you how to do it. This is just explaining what's going on, which can give you a lot of insight and can lead you on your path to do big things. But to a lot of you, you're just listening to us. You're just understanding, okay? This is the pathway to achieving ultimate power and actually bringing an evolutionary change that is fundamental by destroying, slaughtering, and eliminating chaos, traveling through the different hell realms, the Qliphoth, the tunnels of Set, and downloading all of the Ars Goetia, downloading all the archdemons, downloading all the dark matter energies that could potentially give you powers. And as you download their abilities within yourself, because you have this connection with Source, there's nothing that can destroy Source. Source is what created this entire multi-dimensional plane matrix that we live in. So now that you're a new avatar of Source, you are essentially the being that has come through at the right time to cause chaos to completely suffer by destroying it, by eliminating it, and by intentionally making it suffer to produce more energy for Source that you could think of as harvesting the suffering of chaos, which is an aspect of yourself because you've linked with Source as a literal human being that has this energetic connection with Source. So you're providing energy for yourself to bring more evolutionary change, and you are a living vehicle that is becoming the new architect of the new 5-dimensional matrix that we're stepping into, because Source is influencing you, having that link to Source to do that. And what you've done is you've completely hacked into the system of chaos, taken on all of the energies and the powers, and reprogrammed all the spirits within the chaotic realms to destroy chaos that has manifested in this current reality, in the 5-dimensional plane. So it's a complete systematic takeover that eventually leads to the stepping into of the Silver Age, and then eventually leads to the Golden Age, where the mass collective is completely aware of Source. And obviously right now, our mass collective is not completely aware of Source, which shows that we are not in the Silver Age yet. Shows we're definitely not in the Golden Age yet. We are in the Kali Yuga, and this technology of Kalki is only usable when you are in a Kali Yuga. The torturing and suffering of chaos only happens in a Kali Yuga when the world is mostly inhabited by chaos. But when you move into the Golden Age, that won't be true anymore, because the majority, the mass collective, and the authorities of the mass collective are going to have Source connection. So there's going to be a whole different evolutionary technology of achieving source in the golden age, which is going to be way easier than it is now. But right now, the time we're in, this is the true pathway to achieving source and obtaining the power from source. So, when you achieve source as a Kalki avatar, which we can also connect back to being vampiric, because you are eliminating chaos, sucking it in to have it power you, or you are making chaos suffer to take its suffering and have it power you, the source within you. That's vampiric, 100%. And there's a technology to vampirism. There's a technology to becoming a vampire, which is collapsing your soul on itself into a black hole from a negative torsion field, counterclockwise, where it collapses on itself and remanifests as an infinite source of light. If you understand the science behind a black hole, this is what will literally happen to the individual who is in the process of becoming a master vampire. Their soul will literally collapse on itself from the compounding and buildup of dark matter energy that happens in that process, where you literally die. You die. It's like an experience of dying. Spiritually, an energetic experience of dying. It's not an ego death. Ego death is just a sliver. It is a spiritual death. It's an energetic death, which happens in the crossing of the abyss of the cliff off, which is hell. So you die in hell energetically to collapse your soul into that black hole, where it remanifests as an infinite source of light that can no longer be tortured, but is permanently feeding off of chaos and is permanently feeding off of the suffering and torturing of chaos, and can no longer be affected by chaos to the same degree that it previously was before the soul had collapsed on itself. Okay? Because in order to torture somebody, you need their soul, and you need to add to their soul, and you need to shell their soul. You need to separate their spirit and their soul away from their physical body. And then when that separation takes place, that's when you add suffering. That's when you add torture. This is how you torture somebody. Okay? This is the whole concept of MK Ultra as well. You give someone so much pain and so much trauma that they develop alter egos or alter personalities to separate from their true self, to separate from the singular state that they're in. So that separation that's taking place is removing the soul fluid and removing the spirit from their physical body, having it shelled, which manifests a physical, or not physical, but manifests a astral shell around their physical body that you can see. And then the parasite, being the egregor, completely can take over your awareness. And it depends. You know, if your soul and your spirit is shelled and and it's separated from your body, depending on the occultist and depending on the person you are, I can create a specific type of egregor to infest you, to completely possess you with my own intent. Like whatever I want that egregor to do with you, I can have it do that to you. But the reality is this is also mass collective programming. So a lot of people in the mass collective, most people, 9 out of 10, have subconsciously already gone through this process of separating from their self, because just the world we live in is hellish. You wake up, you gotta go to work. At work, you deal with people that you hate. You go home, you deal with someone that you're married to that you hate. You have some good experiences and then really low experiences. People do you wrong, they steal from you. All of these experiences build up, and it causes the person to find ways to deal with their pain, because once again, they're not aware of the occult field. They're not aware of their own spiritual self. They're not aware of these things because that was never taught to them. They don't even think it exists. So over time, with all this buildup of all this pain and suffering, they find ways to cope, which separates their soul fluid and their spirit from their bodies, and now they're fully inhabited by parasitic beings that are controlling their awareness, and they don't even realize it. This happens on a mass collective scale. So, with that being said, that's what's going on. And as I've explained, the true path to source is by being the Kalki avatar. Okay? Now, let me give you some ways that you can start attuning yourself to this Kalki avatar if that's something that you want to do. Okay, remember the Kalki avatar is vampiric in nature. There's a process to becoming the vampire master, and that is a process of heavy occult initiation, but the majority of people aren't going to go through that, and they're not going to become that unless you get, turned into one, which is, there's a whole nother technology to that where I can literally turn you into one, an aspect of myself that has done that process, and I can have that as you. I can put a copy of myself in you so that you have my psychic abilities to the degree that I allow, but everything you do also uplines to me because I'm the one who is influencing you. But you get a win-win because you get my psychic abilities. You become you become me, an aspect of me as a vampire. But once again, I'm the master, the one who put my remote viewing body in you. So everything you do will upline to me, but you will get my psychic abilities to the degree that I allow. This is just another technology, just to throw that out there. I'll explain that in other videos, but that's what I do for my highest tier Patreons. If that's something that you want to check out, I do that, and I will make a whole video on what I do for my highest tier Patreons. And I just started doing this, okay? A way that you can attune yourself to this Kalki avatar is simply by introducing yourself to Kalki in the archetype of Kalki. Okay, so you have a phone, right? You have the background of your phone, okay? Go on Google, search up Kalki, do some research on Kalki, study Kalki. Don't just take my word for it. Go ahead and study it. Although my word is very valuable and it's valid, there's nothing that I'm sharing with you that's not true. Study it a little bit deeper so you can understand more behind what I'm saying. And when you understand that, go ahead and go on Google or Safari or whatever you're using and screenshot a picture of Kalki. Now that you understand what Kalki is, the archetype of Kalki, and place it as the background of your phone, so that whenever you're using your phone, you're slowly but surely downloading that archetype into your being just from observing it. And also from having watched this video that's explaining how this can actually happen to you, breaking it down to a science where the observation of the Kalki, you're observing an archetype, a real archetype. So Kalki influences me, okay? This archetype influences me. For example, the other day I was walking outside and I was thinking about Kalki and how that energy has been influencing me because I am a source avatar vampire that destroys chaos and sources it, completely ruthless. I'm not here to save the world, but in the process of me completely eliminating chaos and evil from my reality, it just happens as a byproduct that the world is evolving in a better way. Okay, so by me being completely ruthless and having no remorse for anybody else but myself, and the people that I love, there's a few people that I want to evolve on this level with me because they're aspects of me. They're source vampires as well. For me and this small group of people, that's all I really care about is that we're evolving, and just a byproduct of that is that it's helping mankind. It's helping the world evolve. Okay, it's just a byproduct. This is how it works. This is how you achieve source and bring in real evolution. It's not love and light. It's not like, I care so much about you, I need you to understand what I'm saying. Like, please, believe me. That's not how it works. That's how you'll get screwed. Okay? Don't believe me, though. Don't believe me, because I need people that are going to get screwed. Okay? I need that. Okay? It's just a part of the science. But just the other day, as I was saying before I got sidetracked, I was walking and I was thinking about Kalki And sure enough, there is a white Ferrari right next to me. And if you understand that connection, Kalki is the being that rides the white horse as the source avatar. And I'm looking to my left, and there is a literal, on my left too, left-hand path, which is the path of destruction, killing, eliminating, deleting. So you can see how this left-hand path is so important to becoming an avatar of source, to linking with source. It's not just about killing, eliminating, destroying for no reason. You have to have the connection with source. You have to know why you're doing it. That's where the responsibility comes in. Because if you're just left-hand path and you're like, I'm this chaotic person that destroys all this stuff, you're going to end up degrading with chaos because you don't know why you're doing it. You're just destroying things. It's like the Lord of the Rings. There's the Sith Lord, the ultimate Sith Lord, who's old and he's like on his last lengths of energy. He looks disgusting. He's aged. It's because he's so evil and he doesn't have a source connection. He doesn't know why he's so evil. He's just doing evil, 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 evil. That's why he's so old and so crepit and ugly. You got to know how to use the left-hand path. You got to know how to use death, destruction, and all of these different things. Okay? That's what balance is. Okay? But yes, so taking it back, I look to my left and there's a white Ferrari. That's Kalki. So one simple way that you can help yourself download this archetypal energy is put it on the background of your phone. Every time you use your phone, it's going to subconsciously, unconsciously, and consciously influence you. And you'll notice it. Put it on the background of your computer screen. Order a poster of Kalki. Place it in your room. Wherever you are, wherever you're spending a lot of time, get a poster of Kalki and keep it there. And you know what Kalki means. You know the energy behind what it means. And that will slowly and surely influence you and could potentially change the direction that you're moving in regards to your being. Meaning you may not have any idea about any of this stuff that I'm sharing, but it's making a lot of sense to you. And by having this Kalki image around you, you're now presencing the archetype of Kali, which is a real energetic spirit. It is a real energetic current that will influence you and change the course of your direction. So this simple thing that I'm explaining could literally change your entire life for the benefit. If you're wanting to really walk the path of true source connection and power. This is just a simple thing. Like, this is not going to like set you up to fully achieve source. There's a whole process to that. And if that's something you want to get into, then I would highly recommend joining my Patreon. But no, like this will help you, okay? And this could, I mean, you can run with this. Like this, there are some people that could achieve source by simply attuning themselves to this archetype, okay? So that's all I'm gonna say. Other than that, this video is long enough. I'm gonna leave it there. If you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up, hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe button as well, because I love to see my subscribers shoot through the roof. And let's see, definitely make sure you check out my Patreon. The Patreon is going to be located in the description. It's the very first link. On my Patreon, I have exclusive content that is not on my YouTube channel. Some of that content is going to be geared towards actual occult practices that I perform on camera, and then I teach you how to perform them yourself. Okay, for example, I have a video on how to do an invocation, which literally means channeling a spirit to you, an energetic intelligence to you, and then gaining its power by alchemizing that spirit's energy into your energy field, which increases your psychic abilities, which will increase your psychic power, and will also increase your psychic protection. Okay? That's some of the videos that I have on there. Then the other bit are going to be in regards to Kabbalah, which is really the science of how this initiatory path unfolds itself. It's very important to understand Kabbalah because, once again, Kabbalah is not just a Jewish system. This is an underlying mechanism that has been used for many millennia by many different cultures throughout time that has been condensed within Kabbalah because the Jews try to take ownership of it and they try to say, this is our system, we did this. But the reality is that it's just, the Jews broke it down to a very understandable way, and they pulled on all these different ancient cultures. And it's a very profound and powerful system. So when you understand it, you literally will understand the steps of evolution. Okay, the steps of evolution, and you could potentially figure out where you're at in that process, which is what I do for my card readings. That's another story. I'll explain that in a second. But yeah, so that's what you'll find on my Patreon. In order to gain access to the exclusive content, you have to at least be a tier 2 member or up. As you go up in tiers, the benefits increase, and definitely make sure you check out the highest tier. The benefits are very powerful there, and I briefly mentioned it in this video. So definitely check that out. With that being said, I would love to give a special shout out to the highest tier members already. Their names are going to be mentioned right below the Patreon link, so huge shout out to you, ladies and gentlemen. And then next shout out I would like to give is to my Patreon members. I appreciate you all for taking your knowledge to the next level, so huge shout out to you. And then huge shout out to all my YouTube subscribers, okay? Next thing, if you want to book a tarot reading with me, definitely check out the second link below. That's going to take you to Square Appointments, where you can literally pick the time that you want to book it. The way I do the reading is I choose 3 cards, present, near future, long-term future, and I break it down in a very in-depth yet subjective way. So I'm not just giving you a traditional reading. This is me literally tuning into my spirit, picking up on your energy field, and telling you exactly what I need to tell you, breaking down all the symbolism that I'm seeing on the cards, all the way down to the Hebrew letter, which can literally locate exactly where you're at in regards to the tree of life in your evolutionary journey, which is very profound. So I don't do the reading face-to-face in person or like through FaceTime, mainly because I like to fully get in my zone, and I like to have my space, and I like to make sure that I can get the most effective reading. So what I do is I do the reading, and then afterwards, I take a video on my phone, I record the entire breakdown of all the cards and what the whole reading meant, and then I send it to you through WhatsApp, and the reading is a minimum of 30 minutes long. And the only thing that I request afterwards, once you've received it, is your personal feedback. Because right now I've done over 20 readings and the feedback has been phenomenal, and I am building up my testimonial profile right now, and I just want to keep adding to it. Okay, so other than that, once again, the second link is where you can book that tarot reading with me, and we're going to leave it there. So I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day or night, wherever you are, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.